Hi, everybody. I am Howard, and this is Otter's Corner, where we discuss all things related to retirement. And today I want to introduce a special guest. This is Kathleen. Kathleen has a BA in gerontology. She's the marketing director for an assisted living and memory care facility, and she's a licensed administrator in that industry. And the reason we have her here today is we want to talk about something that's an inevitability for many people in retirement. And whether you're in retirement or coming up to retirement, what we're going to talk about today is going to affect somebody you know, if not yourself. And we're going to talk about assisted living. So I have some interesting statistics I want to bring up before we get into it with Kathleen. And the first thing you know is that there's about 800,000 people currently in assisted living facilities across the country. The median cost of assisted living is $4,800 a month. 7 out of 10 people will require assisted living sometime in their life, and that's why it's important for you to pay attention to this, because again, if it doesn't touch you personally, it's going to touch somebody you know or related to, someone you love, and you have to be prepared for that eventuality. So there are over 30,000 assisted living facilities in the U.S., and they currently run at about 80% of capacity, so there is some room in assisted living, but by 2040, there will be 80 million people over the age of 65, and by 2060, that'll be 95 million. So there's going to be huge demand for assisted living, and that could drive prices up if supply doesn't meet that demand. Something you need to think about. So let's get into it with Kathleen and get into some of the nitty-gritty here. First, how is assisted living different from a nursing home or nursing care?
Right. A nursing home is based on a medical model. You're going to have 24-hour nurses and doctor oversight. Assisted living is a social model based on quality of life and care services. Very different.
Okay. And when we talk about that $4,800 a month median price and maybe more at your facility, what does a resident get for that?
Right, so most facilities for the base rate will cover, of course, like the room and board. That's going to be your rent for the apartment, the meals, housekeeping, laundry service, cable, Wi-Fi, all the utilities, all of the basics that someone would need to live comfortably.
Okay, so we're talking almost $60,000 a year, but keep in mind that you no longer have a house, you no longer have to maintain a house, you don't have a car typically, all your meals are paid for, you can buy food if you want, but it sounds like a lot of money, but when you compare it to what you're spending already, in my opinion, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but certainly some families will suffer to try to make that happen as opposed to others who won't at all. So what kind of activities could somebody expect when they're at a assisted living facility?
Right, so assisted living facility activities to me are one of the most important things for why someone should move to a facility at all. You're going to have the typical bingo activity, which most seniors do love, but we also do outings to museums and an aquarium, go to the casino, go shopping, all of those types of fun things. We do arts and crafts, we have live music, happy hour. It's kind of the concept of a cruise ship on land.
So a lot of the same activities go on, male and female, if they're not related, anything goes.
Anything goes,
Okay.
Yes. Adults can make decisions for themselves in most cases.
It's not a bad place, just remember that. Okay, so when we talk about assisted living and we talk about the kind of care they may get, obviously it's not a nursing home, they're not in a hospital, they can walk around, they can move, but what is care in assisted living?
Care is going to be assistance, what's referred to as activities of daily living. So it's going to be ADLs, as it's termed, help with bathing, dressing, showering, toileting, transferring from one apparatus to another, medication management, that kind of thing.
Okay, so when someone feels they have a relative who needs that care, who initiates contact with you? Is it a relative, a friend, daughter?
Right.
Niece, what is it?
Right. In most cases, it is usually family, typically their direct child, someone they've designated as a power of attorney, sometimes grandchildren, nieces and nephews, if they don't have children of their own. In some cases, it will be a friend, a lifelong friend that they've designated as a power of attorney, or even a public conservator in some cases.
And who typically initiates that?
Right.
What is it that triggers a son to say, Mom, you need to have assisted living?
Very often, it's the noticing that a parent or a loved one is no longer making good decisions. So they show up for a visit, they haven't been there in 6 months, and they see pills on the floor. They see stains on the carpet. Maybe they had a fall and had a little bleeding and didn't tell their loved one about, but there's evidence on the rug. Those kinds of things. We've also seen people show up after long times not having bathed in months, not losing weight. Those are definitely clear signs that someone needs to be in a community.
So I think we all have this stereotypical outlook on what that's about because we're ignorant of the industry and how it works. And we think about, oh, we're going to have to drag Mom out of the house. She's going to be kicking and screaming. She doesn't want to move. She thinks this is the end of the line for her. There's no more active life. What's the mindset of people who come in? Are they eager to be there? Are they happy to be there?
Yeah, I mean, it can be either. It can be that kicking and screaming because they're holding on to that house, that boat anchor at that point. Or it's the get to. There are the cases where, loved ones have to put someone in a community, a facility. And then hopefully they're having that conversation much earlier where it's a get to go. So you get to go to a community, get to make new friends, get to have great food and activities and experiences instead of kind of shriveling your life down in a house that no longer actually serves you.
Okay. So we talked about the $4,800 a month, more or less, depending upon where you're at and what kind of facility you want to go to. Where does that money come from? Does Medicare cover any of that?
I love that question, and sadly the answer is no. So if anyone here is counting on Medicare to pay for your assisted living, please stop. So it is one of the more difficult conversations I have to have with families, especially those that haven't planned or haven't preserved assets through their life. So funding comes typically from Social Security, pensions, 401k plans, of course, and then usually the sale of a house. That equity that's in that house obviously converts very easily to pay for assisted living. In some rare cases, family does have to kind of pool together to make up the difference to be in a nice community versus a mediocre one. And then there is Medicaid. Medicaid is a low-income product. It's a very long conversation. That's probably a video all in itself. But not being an attorney, I don't want to give false information.
But it's a means of last resort.
It is, but every state is different, so I want to make sure people know that as well. Medicaid in one state will pay for a whole lot more than they might in another. So it definitely is worth pursuing. And there's ways, even when people are not low income, to work with an attorney to get Medicaid approval appropriately and legally, so you have that extra income coming in to kind of bolster what you already have.
Okay, so what do we tell people watching this when they believe they know somebody, a family member, somebody that may be responsible for, needs to go to assisted living, and they don't know you, they don't know anybody in the industry? What's their first steps?
Right. So this is a really challenging first step because you can take several avenues here. You can reach out to a national placement company that you see advertised on TV. You can reach out to someone you Google that's a local placement company. You can start Googling in your area assisted living facilities and just literally call one individually and find one that you like the most. These placement agents are great. I work with a lot of them locally and nationally. For you, it will take a lot of the guesswork out, but you also get inundated with phone calls from every community in your area because they've referred all of those communities to you. So just be prepared, because that is the one thing I have to caution people about. There's nothing wrong with them. They're providing a great service, but you do tend to get inundated with phone calls. They take the guesswork out. The bottom line is the community pays all of those referral companies, usually 100% of the first month's rent. So not every community will work with these placement agents either. So they'll only refer you to the ones that they know they'll get paid from. So you might not get every community in your area at the end of the day, and you might be missing out on one right down the street because you didn't go on Google instead, right? So sometimes it's just as easy as Googling and walking in and taking tours of all the different facilities in your area. The one thing I always tell people to do is to physically go into a community and tour. And it's time consuming, and hopefully you're not in an urgent situation when you do it. But every community will look almost identical, offer all very similar services on their website. And when you walk in, every community will feel and look very different. So until you're there in person and meet people and get the kind of the vibe of the place, you won't really know if it's a good fit for your loved one.
Okay, great. That's a lot of really great information. What I'd like to do here is we're going to end this episode right now, but this isn't the end of the conversation. We're going to have Kathleen back and talk about other aspects of what goes on in her facility, things you should know about that and things to help you prepare. I'm going to ask you if you want and you have particular questions about a situation you're involved in now or something that's coming up, please put it in the comments. If you're not comfortable, put it in the comments. I'll have my email down below. You can email me the question. When Kathleen comes back, we'll go through any individual questions we have, answer them the best we can. We're not going to point you to any particular facility, obviously, but we're going to tell you how to go through this process and make it easier for you. Finally, please, if you like these videos, subscribe, like, share, and most of all, comment. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Tell us what you want Kathleen to address. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.